Yes. What can I do for you? Cappuccino, are you going to let mommy do this? You're going to let me do this today? Please. You want to say hi to the people? Go on. Okay. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dominique and I am on GLP-1 Mounjaro. I have been for the last 2 years, and I've been documenting my journey and posting videos on my progress for the last 9 months or so. And so today I am going to provide an update on my progress since the last video that I posted, which was my 2-year anniversary on the medication. I'm going to give you a little bit more info about my doctor's visit that I had this week. I also want to revisit a discussion that wasn't really a discussion, but when I was doing my 2-year update, I talked about some of the things that I've learned over the last 2 years, one of which is not feeling guilty and feeling shame about being on this medication, and I just want to revisit that discussion a little bit today. So without further ado, and hopefully without any more interruptions from Mr. Cappuccino here, let's get started. All right, so first, let's do a quick progress update since the last video. I last filmed an update on March 16th. Today is April 6th, so it's been a few weeks, like 2.5 weeks. And let's talk about weight updates. My starting weight was, I have 2 starting weights. My highest weight, which was in February of 2023, was 193. I'm 4'11". And as I've shared before, I went on a 21-day fast with the church in February of that year, and I actually was down to 179.4. That wasn't the point of the fast, but naturally when you're fasting, you're going to lose weight. And so I was down to 179.4 at the conclusion of the fast, which was February 21st, I believe, 2023. And then I started Mounjaro on March 18th of 2023 at 181.8. So that was my Mounjaro starting weight, 181.8 pounds. I'm currently on the 10 milligram dose of the medication. And as I shared in my last video, I reached my lowest weight in June of 24. And that was 133.6. So net, I have not lost any more than that since then. And if you will recall, I talked about, hold on. Okay, I had to go give Cappuccino a little treat. And so if you hear him in the background, he is chewing on a treat right now. So I apologize for the background noise, but we need him to be occupied for the next few minutes. Anyway, if you recall from my last update, I was talking about how I have fluctuated up and down within like the same 5 to 7 pounds since I reached that lowest weight, which was in June. So for the last 9 months, I haven't really lost any weight. Since March 16th, I've had 3 weigh-ins. On March 23rd, I weighed in at 134. Even. On March 28th, I actually reached that lowest weight once again and weighed in at 133.6. So that's the first time that that's happened since early June of 24. So I was really, really happy with that. But just like everything has been going for the last 9 months, when I weighed in on Friday the 4th, I weighed in at 135.4. So it is what it is. I'm now getting used to it. I don't know. I really don't want to titrate up a dose at this point. And so I'm hoping that I don't really have to, but I'm just going to continue to monitor that and see, as long as I'm not gaining more than a few pounds here or there, I'm not going to worry about it. And like I said in previous videos, I honestly think my lack of exercise is really contributing to that. So the trend continues, but we're just going to keep trucking on. As far as my goals check-in, like I said, not much movement over the last couple of weeks. I actually hurt my back pretty bad when I moved my living room around. And even with some of the work that I've done while I've been on staycation this week, I've just kind of keep injuring it. So it's not an excuse. It just is what it is. But I'm going to set a more realistic goal for these next 2 weeks. I have been being more mindful with my food choices. I have been taking my AG1 more regularly, which was something that I wanted to do. And I've been much more consistent with my morning and evening routines as well. And just getting more consistent with my bedtime, wake up time, and the number of hours of sleep that I'm getting. So even this week that I've been on staycation, I've really tried to stick to that routine of going to bed around 10:30 to 11 and getting up. Well, I've been sleeping in a little bit, but I've been more consistent with my bedtime because I didn't want to get in the habit of going to bed too late. It's only a week vacation. So that's how I've been doing on the goals that I set a couple weeks ago. Now, regarding my doctor visit. So if you saw the short that I posted on Tuesday, then you know I went to the doctor on Tuesday and got my 6-month checkup. If you didn't see that video, just to kind of bring you up to speed, I go to the doctor around every 6 months. I went on Tuesday and I was very excited to share some news. And that news is that I am now completely off blood pressure medications. For context, when I started this journey in March of 23, I was on 3 different blood pressure medicines. And over the last 2 years, I've been able to continuously come off of a medication or 2. And during this visit, my blood pressure was quite low. And a lot of my readings, not that I've been very consistent with reading at home, but the readings that I had been doing were consistent with that, like right around 100 over 70, 101 over 69, things like that. So doctor felt comfortable taking me off my last blood pressure medicine, which I was very happy about. That said, she did want me to do blood pressure readings a couple times a week and send them to her just to kind of continue to monitor, which is smart. And these have been my readings since Tuesday. 134 over 95, 122 over 93, 130 over 96, and 120 over 97. So I sent those readings to her this morning. She probably won't get them until tomorrow, but at this point, I fully anticipate having to go back on the lisinopril or something else. I mean, maybe she'll just recommend a water pill or something, maybe something less. I don't know. So we'll see what she says, but I was really excited to come off of that medication, obviously, but the readings this week have not been great. And so I may be going back on a blood pressure medicine. It's not the end of the world. It's still a far cry from where I was 2 years ago when I started this journey. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. All right, now let's talk about guilt and shame. So in my 2-year update, like I said, I shared with you that one of the things that I've learned is that you really don't need to care about what other people think about you being on GLP-1. And that's true. That is something that I have learned since I started this journey. I mean, you really don't need to care about what people think about you being on GLP-1, and I have learned that. However, one of you that saw my video asked me in the comments or pointed out in the comments that I didn't share my starting weight and my current weight, which is true. And that really got me to thinking, I don't think I've ever done that in any of my videos. And so I had to really sit back and reflect on that and why it is that I had not been sharing with full transparency my starting weight and my current weight. And I think when it boiled down to, it's really because of guilt and shame. And so I was looking online, like, guilt and shame associated with GLP-1. And what I was reading is that a lot of us do feel, guilty about being on the medication, kind of succumbing to these views that people have of us being on this medication, that it's the easy way out, that we don't deserve to be on this medication. Why can't we just exercise? And I think internally, like on some level, unconsciously, I was, taking on those feelings and those viewpoints and not really, I don't know, like not wanting to be transparent about where I was when I started this journey and where I am now. I wasn't diabetic when I started. I was certainly unhealthy, and I shared with you all that I was pre-diabetic, PCOS, asthma, high blood pressure, obviously, in terrible health. And I don't need to feel guilty about that. But I think on some level I was. And so I was kind of keeping my starting weight and current weight close to the chest. And that's not fair. Like, I started filming these updates for myself, but also I started sharing them because I wanted to be helpful to other people that, are also struggling with weight and health. And so I had to really just get real with myself about that. And so I wanted to just make sure I revisited that with you all and let you know that I did some self-reflection. And, I will challenge myself to be much more transparent moving forward with even some of the emotions that I might be feeling as I'm going through this journey. Because I am down to in the 130s, but like, I haven't reached my goal. I know without a doubt, without this medication, I wouldn't even be where I am right now. I've said that before, at any rate, I just wanted to kind of let you all know that I realized I don't think I had been completely, transparent in previous videos. And that is something that I am going to work on moving forward. Now that we've talked about that, and also I just want to thank the person who kind of challenged me without even knowing that they were challenging me by asking me or pointing out that I hadn't shared my starting weight and current weight, because without that challenge, I don't know that I would have, digged a little deeper within myself on this whole idea about guilt and shame. So I just want to thank you for that. But let's talk about goals for the next couple of weeks. I have not been meeting the goals that I set, and I don't think that they're shooting too high or anything like that, but they just have been unrealistic for me right now and where I'm at. So I want to try and set a couple of more realistic goals for myself for these next 2 weeks. And I'm just going to strive for 2 workouts a week. I mean, honestly, I wanted to try and do 2 weight training and 2 Pilates, and I just have not done it. So I'm striving for 2 workouts a week at this point, whether it's Pilates or strength training. I'm not going to put any pressure on myself. I'm just going to try and get physical twice over these next 2 weeks. And I also want to strive to take at least 1 walk a week on my own. So y'all know I have a dog, and I enjoy being, especially if the weather breaks at all this week and gets warmer again, I love being outside. But anytime I'm going outside now for a walk, it's with him. And while I love to walk him, I do like to let him have the freedom to sniff and, use his brain and things like that. And that just kind of, it's stop and start, let him figure out where he's going to go. And while we do about a mile each time, it's again, stop and go. And I really want to take some time to myself and just walk the trail. I have a walking path around my complex, walk around, feel the air, listen to something on my earbuds, and just enjoy the weather, hopefully. And so I'm going to, and I think on some level I was like feeling guilty about maybe wanting to take a walk and not taking him out because he loves to be out. But I'm not doing that. I'm going to walk him, and at least once a week, I'm going to take a walk on my own. And I'm going to work on eating in more often, especially with Monday having been my birthday. I ate out. I did eat in a lot too because I was home and I cooked, but I ate out a lot. So one of the goals that I'm going to set for these next 2 weeks is to eat out less and eat what I have made, eat what I have in my freezer and in my refrigerator, and eat in more this week. So those are my goals for the next 2 weeks, and I will, let you know how they go on the next update. So as I always say at this point in the video, if you have made it this far, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you have not already subscribed, if you would consider subscribing, liking, sharing this video, I would appreciate it. I love those of you that have been providing me feedback. I am so new at this. I'm completely learning how to do this as I go. I'm working on the sound quality. I promise you, I'm doing research. I'm watching videos on how to edit better so that the sound quality is improved. I went to one of my videos on the TV, which is where I like to watch YouTube, and I was horrified. So I know the sound has not been great. So I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. Continue to provide me the feedback. Continue to ask the questions, leave the comments, challenge me. I really want to establish community here for those of us that are on this journey together. And so again, I thank you, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.